back. I wanted to take just a minute and show you where I stand on the pea sheller at the moment. But I'm going to give you a walk around of it and let you see what I've done so far. And if you can, maybe there's some comments you'd like to make about it, some suggestions. I'm thinking about changing the way the peas are caught and captured. I want to remake the bottom portion that the peas will be collected in, maybe to make some sort of vibration tray that will sift out the peas and allow them to go down to a catch drawer, and then the chaff be caught in a waste drawer. And if you have any suggestions about how maybe I should do this, please feel free to comment. I value your comments on that, but this is just my first time at attempting anything like this. I've looked at videos on YouTube, I've looked at plans, other people's pea shellers, and this is kind of a spin-off on a set of plans I found, and I'll include those in the description so you can look and make a decision yourself if you wish to attempt making something like this. It's pretty much a unique design. I don't think there's any two homemade pea shellers out there that are alike, but stay tuned and I'll give you a walk around of the pea sheller. The first thing I did was to decide how large of a pea sheller I wanted to make, and since this is primarily for personal use, it's not all that big. My anticipation is that this pea sheller will probably shell probably a 5-gallon, 3 to 5 gallon bucket of peas at a time. And when I was making this, I said, well, what do I want to try to accomplish with it? How big do I want to make it? And so just kind of give you a sense of the dimensions on this pea sheller that I made. It is 39 inches wide, and 29 inches deep. It's 48 inches tall. Then I had to decide how I was going to power it. Was I going to power it with by hand, have no electricity? This one is still designed and made in such a way that I could convert it over to a hand crank on it that would turn and do the same thing. But labor intensity, I mean, I planted a garden. I planted 8 rows of peas that are 120 feet long, and if you figure about 3 to 5 pounds per 10 feet, you can figure out there that I'm getting somewhere around 300 pounds of peas out of my garden this year. And looking at the garden, everything has come up, and it's becoming a beautiful garden. But giving you a walk around, the first thing I had to do was decide the dimensions. The next thing I had to do was look at the drum that the pea shellers are going to be made out of. The ends are 15 inches in diameter, and the width of this pea sheller drum on the inside is 27 inches. I used 1/2 inch wire cloth, galvanized, which will turn over and over, and it will flip the peas on the inside. And if you look carefully, we'll open this up and take a peek at what's on the inside. We'll lift off the top. And you can see inside the paddles. The paddles turn faster than the drum does. Then I had to decide, how am I going to power this thing? And I decided on the transmission. And looking at that, I came up with an electric motor in the back. This is a 1 horsepower electric motor, single phase. Excuse me, it's a 3/4 horsepower single phase motor, turning at 1750 RPMs. And off of this motor, I come with a 2-inch pulley to a 12-inch pulley. Turns the paddles on the inside, but also attached to this shaft is the drum itself. The drum has its own separate pulley, which has a takeoff from the shaft coming to the back of the transmission here on this 3-inch pulley, has a 3-inch out pulley going to a 12-inch pulley. And that is the basic transmission. And on top of that, thermal protection as well as overloads, has overload protection on it right here. If you didn't have a motor with overload protection, you can't, I don't believe you can do what I've done, which is put a variable speed motor controller on here. This motor controller, when I turn it on, there's no power going to it at all to begin with. When I turn the power source, it kicks in. And I can control the speed of this motor so that I can control the drum. I can control it to go slower, or I can control it to go full speed. And that's how this works there. This is where I'm in the quandary. How am I going to do this catch pan? I need to isolate the drum from the transmission, so I put a protective barrier here that will keep any peas from flying out or over on that. And I thought on the top that I would put a clear piece of plexiglass so I can see what's going on the inside. To load this with that piece of plexiglass on the top, you know, you won't be able to load from there. So I made this top pivot so that you can have access to where you need to work on the machine if you have to replace a belt, or to load the peas. And that's what this top will do. And this will also be on casters so that it can roll around. We're in my shop today, and I'm limited for space in my shop. If you look at some of the background, you can see I've got a mess. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. This is my pea sheller. So stay in and stay tuned to the rest of this video. When I get through with it, and when the peas come up, I'll give you another video of how it works. Stay tuned. Okay, I have my rounds cut out. These rounds are 15 inches in diameter. But I got those 2 rounds cut out, and I got my stays cut out. I got these stays cut to 1 1/4 inches by 7/8 inches. Okay, now I'm drilling the holes to put the stays in to spread this out on our rounds. I didn't like the way the other one was. The other one wasn't fitting like this. This is going to be more secure. I like this a whole lot better. It'll have a latch here and here to keep it on.